This is Jen DeLeon, Power 106, here with the amazing and beautiful Ciara. How are you doing this morning?
I'm amazing.
You look
Happy
amazing.
to be here. Thank you.
So I am so excited to talk to you about CC. I love the album start to finish, but there's so much I want to dive
Yay.
into. But first I want to ask you, so the album is about keeping your head high and your shoulders big when you're feeling small. So how do you stay motivated in those moments of feeling small?
Yeah, I would say that there's, moments on this album. And I think when I was speaking about, having your, keeping your head high and your shoulders, feeling big when you need to, especially through my fashion for the album as well. Like there was this top where I had like this massive, shoulders on it. And I just said, this is what I kind of feel like sometimes in the world, in this man's world sometimes, or it's like as a woman, you got to stand tall and your shoulders, you got to feel big, sometimes even when you feel really small, But on this album, man, I don't know. It's honestly a reflection of so many feelings that I've, gone through, reflected on. I love just pouring, my heart into the process. I loved, the journey that I went on with life. It's crazy because I was like, oh, I can't believe I gave birth to 2 babies, in the process of making this album. And I got to also go on tour and, launch new businesses. I mean, so much has happened. So I don't know. I'm really proud of how I was able to express myself through this project, and I'm excited that my fans can finally have it in their hands.
I want to ask because the fact that you said you made 2 babies during this album, and before we started recording, we were talking about the baby hacks, and Dimples was talking about how she would hide stuff, and you're like, I have so many of those. So now I have to ask, what's one mom hack to be able to hide the snacks or whatever you need to do?
Okay, so the baby bag is definitely, I'm just going to go back to that because the baby bag is definitely a nice little, like, make it happen kind of thing for you when you're trying to, like, kind of cheat the system a little bit where you're not supposed to have some things. A baby bag can definitely be a good disguise. But whoever's going to check my bag out there, don't be trying to look extra hard now that I said this. But the baby bag is definitely, you can kind of, smuggle some things that you want to get into rooms, like foods. I just want to make sure when I say smuggle, everybody's like, well, yeah, no, like
what
some
snacks are you
food and stuff
smuggling?
like that. Okay, snacks I would smuggle. You know what? It's really more so liquids.
Okay.
Like if I want, I love apple juice. So
Okay.
apple juice is not just for my babies; it's for me too.
I love it.
Because when you go in the airport, you can have liquids for your babies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, well, that's good.
So things like shampoos and stuff,
And
But
the apple
again,
juice.
they're always for my babies. Whoever's watching, okay, it's for my babies. But you can do stuff like that.
I love it. Okay, so I love a lot of the different tracks, but my favorite one is Made It. So
Oh,
the
yay.
reason
Oh my
the reason I
So
love that
cool.
one is it's so empowering and inspiring. But one thing I've always wanted to talk to you about too is your relationship with God and your prayer life, and you touch on that in the song. So first, one of the lines you say, made many changes. So what change are you the most proud of?
Man, made many changes. I think some of the changes that I'm proud of is like when someone could have been, someone or situation, could be toxic for my environment, not bringing the best energy or spreading negativity, and just being able to be fearless and remove myself or them from my environment. I think that that's definitely a big change that I've had to make along the way. I've had moments like that, and also too, just being able to be mindful of when something is like rubbing your environment wrong, or like you can foresee it being a problem, and you remove it immediately. So I've had those moments, I've experienced where someone you call a team member or a friend actually is not a team member or a friend, and that's never fun. That always is crushing when you experience something like that. But change can be a good thing.
It's hard, but it's good.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's good, especially when you need to make the change. So I feel like you can't ever be afraid of, making changes when you need to. And if something's not right for you, remove it immediately.
Amen.
Yeah.
I do. So you talk about no waves in my faith. I ain't never had no doubt. I ain't tripped. I just prayed about it. So that alone, it's very hard to have that unwavering faith, right? So it's, how do you keep the faith? And was there a moment in your life where you're like, this is the moment I'm really just going to trust God no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like?
Man, to be honest with you, I've had to adopt that kind of mentality very young. Just like giving it up to God. And I think I've had several moments in my life and in my career where maybe something's not working out how I envision it to work out, or, not happening for me in the way that I want it to. Sometimes when those moments happen, it's actually a blessing. It's happening that way for a reason. And, my faith is what's carried me, honestly, just believing in what I don't see and what I don't know, just trusting in God that it's going to be good, because he's never failed me. Like, God has never failed me on my journey. He's always come through for me. And I think sometimes you can forget that, and you have to reflect back on when something wasn't going how you wanted to, or you thought something wasn't going to happen, and it happens for you. Like, that's God from my perspective.
Yes.
So I always go back to that. Like, God, you've never failed me. You never failed me. Therefore, you never will. And that's your promise. You never will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even, I even had that revelation too, where it's like, even when it doesn't feel good, it's God, so it's always going to be good.
Yes.
Like, no matter what.
Yes, that's why I named my company Beauty Marks. I said all the scars you get from the obstacles you face in life are your beauty marks. And that was like my way of looking at the not so pretty moments in my life and in my career, and some of the trials that I've had to overcome, and just knowing like there is beauty in the roughness or in the flaws. There's something good when it doesn't go how you want it to go, or it doesn't feel right. There's going to be so much good to come out of it. And one of the greatest gifts we could have in life is our wisdom. Because when you use your wisdom wisely, you're able to make smarter decisions. Like, my wisdom is what serves me well, being in a position now with running my label and launching my second album and this whole journey. Like, my wisdom from when I had my times being signed to major recording companies, and like, I've had some great moments with majors, so I'm not going to knock the whole thing, but some of the greatest things I took from my experience was like the grind. It's like, even though it wasn't pretty at times, and things didn't go how I wanted them to go at times, there was so much good in those moments because it built grit. Like, it prepared me for where I am. It gave me thicker skin. There was just so much more good than bad to get out of like the experiences when things didn't go so well or how I planned them to be.
Yeah, and you talked about your skincare line, but also releasing the album independently. Do you feel more just free being able to do everything? And then what's the next goal for Ciara, personally and professionally, now that you're in this era of this independence?
I do feel liberated, through this experience. And you said, what's my next goal?
Yeah, personally, professionally.
Yeah, I feel liberated in this experience, being able to just do things how I want to, when I want to, being able to be in control of things for me. There's nothing better than that. It's not the best feeling when someone else is in control for you. And I would say my next goal would be to go on a world tour. Yeah, that's my goal. And I'm also focused on what I have. You mentioned OAM Skin. I'm building out a level up for OAM Skin. And so I'm excited about the growth opportunities for my skincare brand, because it's in a transition right now. And I'm excited for that opportunity. And then I also have my rum, my 10-to-1 rum, that I'm a proud co-founder and investor in. And I want to make sure that 10-to-1 goes, continues to grow, and more people get to have the spirit in their hands, because it really is the best rum. Proudly the fastest growing and most awarded rum. So I'm focused on those things too, just being great with what I have as well.
Mm-hmm. And then Why Not You Productions also. So you and Russ are executive producing Sarah's Oil. So that's also a faith-based story. So that's why I was so excited to talk about it. So let's talk about what people can expect from that.
Yeah. So this Sarah's Oil is our first big feature production through our Why Not You Productions in partnership with Amazon Studios. And the movie comes out November 7th. And, Russ and I were really big on, the why not you mentality. And Ciara was that girl that had the why not you mentality. She was able to, learn about the value that her family held within land and oil in particular. And she, at a very young age, fought for her family, fought for what they deserved and what we're entitled to. And she became one of the first young Black millionaires. And she was just 11 years old when she began this journey. So it's really inspiring. And, it's a story that I think everyone should see, no matter the race or ethnicity. It's a story for everyone. It's a story of inspiration and hope. And I'm just so excited we get to be a part of it.
Yes, that sounds like a very inspiring story. So excited to see that. My last question for you. So going back to the album. So in How We Roll, this features Chris Brown. You also, another reference, You My Heart, I'm Your Rib. But then also in Forever, I love how the concept is just you want this forever. Like you want that kind of love. So what advice do you have for women to know that they're giving their heart to the right man, and also for a man to know that they have found their rib?
Advice for women giving their heart to the right man. I think actions are everything. Sometimes men send the representative. And I think we have to be mindful of that. How does a person really move with you? They show a lot through their actions. And do they follow through? Are they consistent? How do they show up? On a base level of just who they are. How do they talk to people? How do they talk to their mom or women in the room? Like how, there's signs that, show us a lot. But I think consistency is everything, and I will say I feel so blessed. Something I've been able to see, one from my dad's love, but also my husband's love, is that, when a man wants something, he's going to do it.
Yes, he is.
And he ain't going to hesitate. He's not going to flinch.
He needs it.
And I think that's important. And then you said the same thing for men, right? Mm-hmm. You want to know that they're giving their heart to the right woman, too.
Yeah,
you said,
they
right?
found their rib.
Yeah, they found their rib, their juicy rib. I said, I'm a nice juicy barbecue rib, on Russ's rib. But
Russ's juicy barbecue rib.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, baby. No, I was playing. Anyways, I think that for men, when you found your rib, I think, it's when you have a woman that's going to like ride for you, that's going to, be there for you, go the extra mile for you, make you feel like a king as you should. I think my husband, I want him to feel like he's on top of the world every day with how I love him. And I think that we have to be that way. We got to be attentive, to our guys. And most importantly, we got to give respect to our men. And I think that, you'll know those are some of the things I think a man should look for in a woman is like, is she respectful? How does she carry herself too, right? Is she, how does she love? That matters too. It's not just how the man loves. How does the woman love too? How does she lead? Can she be a leader as well and also be able to stand beside her man and let him lead? Like, I'm really big on that, because I'm used to leading my world. And I honestly like kind of taking a step back when I'm with Russ. I like him whenever he's calling, like the boss man's calling, that's my boss man, So I think that's important too. Some of the things. Yeah.
I love it. I gotta say Cece because that's the album, that's the nickname, so I'm gonna call you that. So Cece, it was amazing to talk to you. I loved your energy, your advice. I love the album and everything you're doing, and I'm excited to see just what God has for you for this next chapter.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.